Performative males are an interesting new archetype of man, although I'm actually not sure if they're all that new. Hey, what's that, and welcome back to the channel. My name is D. I like to talk about things that I read, things that I watch, and things I'm just thinking about. Today, I want to talk about performative males. Before we get into all of that, I want to give a quick shout out to my Plus Ultra Don't Fretters, my top tier supporters on Patreon, JJ Valdez and Peggy Lou Who. Patreon.com/DFretter if you want to support the channel, get access to some bonus content, and join my private Discord server. Ko-fi.com/DFretter if you want to help support the channel, but you don't want another monthly subscription to manage. Or you could just like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. Maybe you've heard the term performative male before, but you haven't been super clear on what a performative male actually is. According to Wikipedia, the performative male, or performative man, also sometimes called the macho male, is an internet meme and term referred to an alleged archetype of men that was popularized on social media in 2025. It generally involves performative displays of progressivism, feminism, and emotional sensitivity. Examples of such displays include reading books by feminist writers like All About Love by Bell Hooks, listening to female indie artists such as Clairo, drinking matcha lattes, and owning a Labubu. These displays are allegedly done as a means of superficially appealing to progressive women with the intent of romantically pursuing them. Now, depending on where you live, you've probably seen one of these dudes walking around somewhere. I live in Vancouver, and I know I've seen a few, although to be completely honest with you, I don't know if I could tell the difference between a performative male and a hipster. Maybe the Venn diagram's a circle. I don't know. And it might be a little late to talk about this trend because it's been going on for so long. It's such a thing. They actually do like performative male contests being hosted in different cities like New York, Montreal. Halifax is getting one where you have men performing being performative men. It's like Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder. Now, before we continue, I want to be a little bit of a word nerd and talk about the word performative. Performative has become a contronym, which is a word that has two directly opposing meanings. The academic or original meaning was coined by the philosopher J.L. Austin, in which the statement doesn't just describe the world, it enacts change upon it. So examples of this would be like, I promise, I apologize, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Congratulations, yay, kiss the bride, do it. The more colloquial use of the word is when somebody is doing something and it's just for show. They're putting on a performance, hence performative. Another example of this would be like a performative activist, somebody who likes to have the aesthetic or put on the persona of being someone who like fights for social issues and really cares about the world, but would rather spend their time arguing with strangers online about nuance than actually like, you know, donating money to organizations that actually help people, or reading books and educating themselves so they can be like not racist or not homophobic or something like that. I don't want to be a hard ass about definitions because I understand that definitions change as we do and language is alive and blah, 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 blah. Another example of this would be like Nimrod is a biblical figure who is described as a mighty hunter, but I don't know what cartoon it was, but Bugs Bunny sarcastically calls Elmer Fudd Nimrod because Elmer Fudd's a hunter, but a lot of people just took that as meaning like Nimrod means idiot. So that's how it gets used a lot. I first heard of performative males. I thought it was like those dudes who were making jokes, or maybe they're being sincere about like, all the dating apps don't work, so I'm just going to go act confused in a bookstore. Or that guy who made like, I guess thirst traps, who was like, men who are raised by their dads versus men who are raised by their moms. I also sort of assumed that a performative man was synonymous with a nice guy, but after doing a little bit of research for this video, I realized that that is not true. You know, if people are interested, I will do a video on nice guys. Let me know in the comments if that's something you'd be down for. For now, all I'll say is that nice guys and performative men use different tactics, and I think to be performative, you need a little bit more self-awareness than a nice guy usually has. And performative males have like a specific aesthetic, you know what I mean? Like wired headphones, tote bags, Labubus. Trends are changing faster and faster, so I don't even know if that's up to date. Like if Labubus are really around. I don't see them too much anymore, which is like almost a different commentary on consumerism, but you know, one thing at a time. With this new archetype of man, I think there's potential good that could come with this trend. And I say that with a fair amount of skepticism. There's definitely some bad and there's definitely some ugliness. Potential good that I see from this trend is some of these dudes reading bell hooks, there's a chance that some of what they read will sink in. That's me naively assuming that some dudes might accidentally read to engage instead of reading to put on a show. But, some actors go so method they get lost in a role. Maybe some of these dudes will get lost in emotional regulation skills and self-love and practicing the skill of empathy. Because I'm thinking of the phrase, fake it until you make it. Sometimes you do have to do the things before you are the thing. You know what I mean? Like in Atomic Habits, which I know is the most basic bro self-help book I could bring up right now. Dude talks about telling yourself you're a runner in order to get into running, because you'll start to do things that align with that identity. Again, that's me kind of assuming the best in people. I understand that most performative males are just putting on a performance. They're playing a character. It's a persona to get what they want. They are just misogynistic wolves in sheep's clothing or, Uniqlo cardigans. I'm just kidding. This is Dreamers Club. That's part of the bad. A lot of these dudes are not picking up bell hooks is all about love to better themselves. Going off script a little bit, I actually think that the will to change is a more appropriate recommendation for unpacking toxic masculinity, because that's more what it's about. And I don't know if anybody wants or cares about these recommendations, but some books that helped me with my own unpacking of toxic masculinity were The Body is Not an Apology by Sonia Renee Taylor, Love is the Way by Bishop Michael Curry, and Inquire Within by NQ. I haven't read a lot of books about healthy masculinity, and I've just been trying to do my best and figure things out for myself. And I'm really fortunate. My editor, Ryan, and I guess producer, Aiden, we've all been kind of calling each other out and calling each other in and holding each other accountable. What was I saying? Oh yeah, these dudes, they don't pick up bell hooks to read. Sometimes they haven't even read the book. They are that joke where you see a performative dude reading 4 books at a time or something like that. It's because they're not really reading it. They're not even scanning it. They don't actually listen to Claro. Full disclosure, no idea who Claro is. I barely listen to music nowadays, and if I do, it's Chance the Rapper, Armani White, or Creepy Nuts. These dudes might be deep thinkers, they might be artists with sensitive sides, but they are weaponizing those attributes or using those attributes as leverage to try to get laid. And that's kind of the ugliest truth of this trend. There are a lot of dudes who are very convincing in their performance. They've actually read enough of the Bell Jar to have critiques about how Esther's kind of homophobic, kind of racist. They know enough about mental health to know how their relationship with their parents has impacted how they relate to people, but they don't care to do better. I think it's a pretty millennial thing, an older Gen Z thing, to be super self-aware, but not really know how to do better. We know why we do some of the things we do, but we don't know how to do better. And I think part of that is just you need to develop those skills over time. It's not a quick fix, but that's, again, different conversation. I think the worst performative males are almost more sinister than a nice guy because they're harder to spot.
The most manipulative cis men center women and queer friendships in their life to gain social capital from the groups that are oppressed by the patriarchy. They aesthetically decenter themselves from masculinity by painting their nails or wearing skirts, while also weaponizing therapy speak and feminist literature to break down women that they're romantically involved with. These men are very smart because they know to date outspoken women that don't mind being seen as bitches or people pisser offers, so that when they do emotionally manipulate them and completely tear down their character, they can go to their queer and women friends and say, she was just so angry with the patriarchy and the system, and I think that she took it out on me instead. There's some healing she has to do, and I have to do some work too. I just don't think that we're meant to do it together. I wish her well, man. I don't think she feels the same. I no longer date cis men monogamously or for partnership because I've experienced enough times the harm of men that hide behind performative allyship. And I'll end with 2 things, one positive, one negative. The positive is I actually think the least harmful men are normie core submissive men, but we aren't ready for that conversation. Secondly, and I think what is most telling about how harmful performative feminine men can be, is that when I've asked women, would you date another man like this? Every single one has said, I would rather date an asshole than another performative feminine man, because with an asshole, at least I know what to expect.
Disclosure, I actually had to refilm this video. This is my second attempt because the audio interface that's recording my microphone was turned all the way down. But as I was filming this video the first time, I realized that I actually have met, I don't know this person super well, but I have met a performative male who has actually done some pretty terrible stuff to friends of mine. And he's been called out, and a lot of people keep distance. I try to keep my distance. But when one of my friends came out with what he had done, people didn't really believe her because he has this like performative, oh, I paint my nails, I carry a tote bag, I couldn't do nothing to nobody kind of way of being. I don't blame women or anyone who dates men who've had an experience with a guy like that for saying like, I would rather date an asshole than another performative male because at least you know what you're going to get. Personally, I would say no relationship is better than a bad relationship, but I've been married for like 10 years. And even if I wasn't, I don't date men. So like, who am I to talk? But nobody wants to be used. Nobody wants their trust broken. Nobody wants to have a bad dating experience. So it makes sense that if you've had experiences with dudes like this, you would start to like have your radar up. You'd be looking for the signs, you know what I mean? Like we're hardwired to be able to recognize patterns and avoid danger, avoid being hurt. And by now I'm sure that some troll has crawled out from under its bridge to be like, not all men. And that's just a reactionary statement to try to like distract from the conversation that I'm trying to have. And by now, some troll has probably crawled out from under its bridge and been like, not all men. It's not that deep. Not all men is just a like reactionary statement. It's a diversion. In general, conversation around performative males doesn't seem to go that deep. But I have a shovel. I can go as deep as I want. I'm going off script again. I'm going to touch on this a little bit later. But I think that the performative male is kind of a spectrum. Like at the farthest end, you're going to have like actual predators putting on a facade, and they're going to do terrible things, you know? And on the other end, you have a dude who's like just trying painting his nails to see if he likes it. And it's hard to figure out where a dude might fit on that spectrum. And so like, I don't blame anyone for having a fair amount of skepticism or mistrust with someone, you know? On the flip side, like I think sometimes that skepticism can get a little out of hand. I feel like if you're taking pictures of random strangers who aren't trying to engage with you, that's kind of weird. Like if there's just a dude in the park reading and he's not talking to anyone, I feel like maybe don't take a picture of him, post it on your social media and let your followers roast him. Because like maybe bro really did just put on a cute outfit and want to read outside. What if he can't read at home? What if his neighbors are really noisy? What if bro's roommate has a girl over and she's got a weird laugh like, ooh. But I think it is wise to keep an eye out for phonies. And if one of these dudes tries to engage with you in some way, shape, or form, then yeah, call them out, make fun of them. I also think us dudes need to be okay with being called performative if we're like experimenting with style. Like if you go back and watch some of my older videos, my nails are painted a lot. I don't do it as much anymore because I kept seeing photos of me with painted nails, like full body shots, and I was like, ugh, I don't like the way I look with painted nails and glasses on and shit. Body dysmorphia is a trip anyways. But you know, if we're experimenting with style or aesthetic or trying things that maybe aren't as traditionally masculine, people are going to make fun of us for that, and that shouldn't deter us, you know? I've heard people say that we shouldn't like just publicly shame performative men just out living their lives, because what if we scare dudes away from stepping out of hegemonic masculinity? Think like alpha dude bro, Andrew Tate, Joe Rogan fans. My answer to that is, while I don't think it's appropriate to like photograph or harass strangers who aren't threatening you or bothering you, regardless of their gender or how they're expressing their gender, I also think we as men need to practice confidence. You know, like develop the atomic habit of confidence and just try stuff. Nobody likes to be seen trying. Nobody likes to be seen experimenting. It's like cringe to try.
Fine, I was trying something and it didn't work.
But I think it's okay to experiment with your style a little bit. Try a new sweet drink. Is matcha sweet? I don't know. Like, I've never had it before. I don't want to try it, but if this video got 10,000 views, I would. But getting made fun of when you're trying something, because it can feel a little vulnerable when you're like stepping outside your comfort zone, even when it comes to fashion, especially when it comes to how you dress, I think. And so that doesn't feel good. It can be kind of scary, but like, I say all this to say I could have made a video where all I did was just go through photos of different performative men and make fun of them or something like that. But one, that'd be kind of hypocritical. I'm wearing a cardigan right now. I wear like pearls sometimes. I've painted my nails in the past. And two, before I started working on this video, I had this opinion that all masculinity is a performance, and I still feel that way, regardless of how it looks. You know, I haven't finished it yet, but I was working on a joke where it's like, All masculinity is a performance. Look at birds. They dance and they sing to try to attract a mate. It's kind of like what we do. And researching for this video, I stumbled onto the concept of gender performativity, which is a term coined by Judith Butler, who's an American philosopher and a gender theorist. Book Gender Trouble, Feminism and Subversion of Identity. They talk about gender performativity, where it's like gender's not like innate, but it's a performance. It's a thing that gets created through behavior. And that book came out in 1990, and then later in 2011, they had this to say. When they say gender is performed, we usually mean that we've taken on a role. We're acting in some way. To say that gender is performative is a little different, because for something to be performative means that it produces a series of effects. We act, walk, and speak and talk in ways that consolidate an impression of being a man or being a woman. We act as if that being of a man or being of a woman is an internal reality or something that's simply true about us, a fact about us. It's a phenomenon that is being produced all the time and reproduced all the time. So to say gender is performative is to say that nobody really is a gender from the start. And while I find this quote interesting, I don't know if I fully agree, or at least it doesn't resonate with me. In my more toxic days, in my more toxic days, because I was definitely like a pretty toxic dude when I was younger, but I always felt like I was being fake. I felt like I was acting the way I was supposed to in order to be a guy. I was trying to live up to the standards of hegemonic masculinity, but I just kept feeling like this doesn't feel quite right. I felt like I was being performative in the colloquial sense then. I felt like I was being disingenuous, and it made me question a lot of things about myself and who I am as a person. And that's why that quote doesn't fully resonate with me, is because I think some stuff that I've tried doesn't fully resonate. Like painting my nails didn't fully resonate with me. I felt like I was putting on an act. And I also wonder if that quote maybe invalidates people who start to feel like who they are when they start. And also, I don't know this lived experience, so this is just speculation, but I wonder if that quote or that idea that gender, your behavior creates your gender, invalidates trans people to some degree. Because one of my really good friends when I was a teenager, came out as trans, and she started to feel happier when she started to present herself in a way that lined up with how she saw herself. And as an adult, I've met other trans people who that seems to be the case. So I don't know if that fully accounts for that. But anyways, I'm not smart enough to be talking about what I just talked about. But when it comes to performative males, there are absolutely going to be dudes who are using an aesthetic and buzzwords as a facade. Men dressing a certain way or listening to certain music or just trying to put out a certain vibe to impress their preferred gender, get a partner or get laid or whatever. That's not new. The performative male aesthetic is one type of that, but I think a lot of what dudes do is to try to impress, a lot of them are also trying to impress other men, but there's a lot of them that are trying to impress women too, or whoever they're trying to get with. And I also think there's going to be dudes who are doing it in earnest and they're just trying to experiment with fashion. They saw some other dude they thought looked cool. They genuinely like the music or something, and they genuinely like sweet drinks. I don't know if matcha's sweet. Maybe I don't know. It looks like pureed ogre. What even is it? There are dudes who are just trying to find a self-expression that feels right, that makes them feel cool or whatever. And I don't really know how to suss them out. So I suppose proceed with caution. I don't know if this has been an interesting watch, because I know most of the people who watch my videos are not men. But yeah, if you're a younger guy or just another guy, I hope that the conversation around performative men doesn't deter you from reading bell hooks or reading other books about healthy masculinity, if that's something you genuinely want to do, want to learn about, and if you want to try dressing a different way than you have before, just to feel better, just to feel, I don't want to say cuter, but feeling maybe sexier, or feeling you're looking good or whatever. I don't think there's anything wrong with experimenting with your style. Maybe you do want to paint your nails, or maybe you do want to crop your shirts or something like that. If that's something you genuinely want to do, I would say just do it. And yeah, maybe someone's going to call you performative or whatever, but if you know that you're being earnest and you know you're being genuine, then what they think doesn't really matter. And this is corny advice, and I didn't really mean to give advice because I'm not a dating coach. I feel like a lot of us were kind of socialized or taught to do things to try to get a partner, get a girlfriend, whatever. Do it for you. Don't worry about trying to impress people. Just worry about like doing stuff for you that make you feel good. As you develop like true, actual confidence, someone's going to be into that. Someone's going to find that sexy as hell. And you're going to find somebody who sees you for the wonderful, amazing person that you are. That's all I got. I'm kind of gassed out. Thank you so much for watching this video. Patreon.com/dfredder if you want to get some bonus content. Join my private Discord server. Support the channel. If you sign up as a free member, you get my monthly newsletter checking in. Ko-fi.com/dfredder if you want to just support the channel one time and not worry about a monthly subscription. Or you could just like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. My name is D. Don't fret. I'll see you next time. Peace out.